I remember when we worked in customer service, like we used to have a game where we'd slide over things. You'd get a thing slid over while you're on customer service and you're on a call and like insurance or bathrooms or whoever knows what, and you get something and you had to say it, right? And it was fun, but it was fun to be able to be like high performance.
What? Give me an example. So in other words, somebody just slide a sentence across you, and on the call you had to say it.
What? And you had the call to say it. So, and the worst one I ever had was someone slide over, and it was at the beginning of the call rang, and I'm like, "Hi, how you doing?" And they slid over. I shot JR, and I'm proud of it.
Right. Oh, I love that. I think I'm going to do that to the next.
Right, we're at the top of our game. We're high flyers. So I'm like, hello, Mr. Best-Mitchell. Can I take your account number, please? Ah, wonderful. I shot Jay and I'm proud of it. So is that 10745? Right? And we were all so good at it. We get things slid over. Occasionally it'd be swear words, and we're like, just like, I want to keep my job, right? But I love that, and that culture and that team was like so good at what they did, because you didn't know when suddenly you were going to get this thing. Kind of
I love that game. I think I'm gonna next if I get a company who has that type of team structure, I'm going to introduce that to them. I think that's brilliant.
Everyone throws something in the hat at the beginning of the day, right? That way, so you can have a look through and be like, no, you can't say that to a client.
Let's just pick something that's weird, and that's it. Weird.
It is, and weird is the best. And do you like bananas? And sorry, what was that? I'm just wondering if I could have your account number, if that's possible. Just the most off the wall random stuff.
No, that is brilliant. That is pure brilliant. I love it. I'm definitely stealing that one.
It's especially fun when calls are recorded, and you've not only got to do it for now, but you got to do it forever. You got to say it so well that in 3 months' time you can be like, I did. I'm proud of it. I shot JR, whatever.
It's like, you heard how smooth I said that? It was brilliant, right? It's like, the client didn't even pick it up.
Well, Jarrod, we like to keep this a little short because everyone's working, and we like to, kind of get it out there so people can gain a little bit of value. But for those out there who should, and if they're not following already, obviously you've just listened to how good Jarrod is and how simple it is to actually take information. And it's one of the things that I do, right? I literally do what you were saying earlier. I try and improve myself by going and finding influencers, mentors, people who say good stuff that I understand. And there's a lot of people there who speak too complex for me. You speak on just the right level that I can be like, ding. So if people want to come find you, where would they find you, sir?
Well, of course, I would say LinkedIn first. I'm just doing some changes to my website at the moment because I'm adding my blog and some additional services. But LinkedIn is the main platform that I spend a lot of my time on. Besides that, the other place you can probably find me is on my other business company page, which is salesaprofession.com, because we have our conference coming up, which is on June 17th. That is where you're going to see me spend a lot of my time on. And if you would notice the content that I'm putting out as well, it is focused towards that. And let me give persons a tip. So I want to share one strategy on LinkedIn that I do, which works really well. If you have an event coming up for your company, right? You're doing a conference, a virtual event, a webinar, change your LinkedIn banner to that event. Then what you want to do is create content as much as possible. So when people like your content, the most things that most persons do is they go to your profile. Immediately on looking your profile, they see the advertisement. Problem solved. It's a real easy strategy. Here's the other thing that you can do, which is subliminal. Just click and just view as many people's profiles as possible who fit your target audience, because when they say, why did Jay view my profile? I click and goes to Jay profile. Boom! There's my LinkedIn banner advertising my conference. Simple concept.
So simple. And the funny thing is exactly when people talk about sales, it's all of the concepts and ideas are actually a lot more efficient and easier to do on LinkedIn. Like if we had an event back in the day, great, whole sales team, call everybody. Like call everyone, let everyone know, let's get bums on seats. Bums on seats was the whole thing, right? But so I'd call her, maybe I'd leave a message and, did that message get through? No, it didn't, right? Or I'd call and it was a voicemail and they didn't listen. Who listens to voicemails? Or I'd call and they didn't get it. Whereas every time, like you say, I've clicked, they see I've clicked. Right? You know, you've all seen it out there. You've all seen someone be like, "Hey, where's Jay looking at my profile?" Because I've looked at all of you. Right?
Yep.
And the other person looked at everyone as Jarrod. So,
and you see, the thing about it now is that so here's how it goes. I look at your profile. You may probably come back and look at mine. And then because of that now, I send you a message saying, Jay, I just saw you notice and you were viewing my profile. Was there anything of interest that you saw? Any questions that I might answer that wasn't answered?
So what, being like social on social media?
It's if it's one thing I do, and you'd have seen it from when I send you the video. So like I have this thing, I would tell you honestly, I haven't done it much in the last couple of months because of time. But when I connect with people, I always send you a video message. It's just to say thank you. I don't pitch. And I don't see the need in pitching, because I am a firm believer of when you put content out and when you're adding value and depositing value to your audience, your audience comes to you. So here's the thing that I feel fortunate about is that me and my business partner are opposites. I'm very energetic. He talks in an airline pilot voice. That's his mode. But I'm the inbound channel for our business, and he's the prospecting channel for our business. So we have both inbound and outbound working simultaneously in the most powerful way. Beautiful. So people call me, they're ready to buy. When he reaches out to people, oh, I know you and Jarrod. Yeah, let's do some business. And again, all of it comes from putting the content out there on the platforms for people to see and add any value. So again, it's just changing how you sell to up at one additional level, and as I say, put as much value out there for the audience to take in.
It blows my mind that more salespeople aren't screaming from the high heavens for their companies to be creating more content. It just blows my mind, because as a salesperson, it's more valuable than when I used to make those 250 calls a day. Like it's just is for me now, because like I say, I can post a video out. It's seen by 1,000 people in a day. I just can't make that many phone calls. I'm just not able. I've tried.
Exactly. Like, and then 1,000 see it, 25 viewed, which means I can't send 25 messages. The problem what companies aren't doing now is that they're not taking social selling as a KPI. So they're not seeing a message outreach and a conversation to a customer as me doing outbound. And that is still outbound. It's just digital outbound.
No, they're like, Jarrod, how comes you only made 10 calls today?
I'm like, well, I made 25 messages on LinkedIn.
This is it. And I connected with 25 people, and I did this, and I was on this group thing. I watched a live. I learned something. I invested in myself all in this 8-hour period. Yeah, but you made 10 calls, and you've only got under an hour's call time. Call time. Ugh.
The only thing I tell companies is that is the rep hitting target? Yes. Then that's the trump card. That's it. That's the final card. There's nothing else.
But it should be the culture where it's down, right? It should be like from high and downwards, where they're saying, like, it's okay to hit your target in any way possible. Use social selling, use this. However, if you're not hitting target, we're going to implement some things to make sure you're able to do what you do, which is, are you making some phone calls? Great. How many are you making? How long you're talking for? That's an important metric.
Let's say the conversation. Let's make sure you're saying the right words. Let's make sure you have the right flow.
Play, right? Yeah. Let's kick things around a little bit and see where you're failing there. Or, let's do that. But also social selling. And I think the problem is it's like, well, how many messages did you send out today? That didn't go up on my big sales board. I can't see that. And you could be like, that's 1 million. I sent out 1 million messages today. But the thing is that suggests to me that companies are still thinking like the 80s and 90s, are not trusting their people. Like, I trust my people to do their jobs.
What you're mentioning there is rampant in 90% of the companies. And again, because I have conversations with people, normally, honestly, like 2-3 years ago, I would have thought, well, because we're in the Caribbean, some of the things that we do are backward. And then when you talk to companies globally, you're like, oh no, it is global backwardness. Gotcha. Because like I've spoken to people in companies who had in the US when they were having the highest points of COVID outbreaks, and their managers would tell them to come in office to do calls. And I'm like, what? Like, what year are we living in? Like, and again, it shows that companies don't trust. And my question is, so why are you hiring people you don't trust?
Why are you letting them make a phone call? That's the thing I can never understand. People are, we don't let our people post out on social. Then then cut the phone lines immediately, because these people will go out and say stuff, right? And you can say an awful lot more worse things than you can probably write down, right?
And that confuses me, because I remember speaking to companies and they were hesitant on getting their staff. Like when I speak to them about, let's do LinkedIn training for your staff, because we know LinkedIn doesn't care about company pages. But if your staff posts, that's way more leverage. No, we don't want our staff to post because they might say something wrong. I'm like, so you think if you give access, or you encourage it, or you teach your staff how to post on social media, the first thing they're going to say is, oh, this company's fucking rubbish. That's what you think is going to happen. I was like, that's not going to happen.
And if it is, like, you've got bigger problems. If it is, don't spend any money on LinkedIn training now. Go and look at your culture. Go and look at the people. Like, people seem unhappy here.
Yep. But again, if you don't have your team now on like these types of platforms, or the platform, actually, let me say it this way. If you don't have your sales team on the platforms where your customers are, you're going to run into problems later on. And it could be a direct narrative of why you're not achieving target, or you understand that there's more to capture in the market, but you're not, because you're not in the spaces where your customers are. And I've seen it now where, unless you're somebody bigger brands, people are buying people. They are not buying the companies. No. It doesn't matter. And then this is where it comes into the other challenge, which again, I think is so stupid of companies. But what if the employee builds a big personal brand and they leave? So what? You'd have gotten your RI already. You would have made the money. Why do you care if they leave? And first of all, if they left, it means you didn't do your job in keeping them there forever.
Exactly.
That's like,
simple as that. But I also think of it, if you're not going to let people go out, especially salespeople, right? Especially salespeople, and put out the message, don't train them, don't spend any time with them, do not invest in them in any way, because quite frankly, like, they might leave. Ooh. Exactly. Oh no, they might leave. Jarrod,
and that makes no sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever. But unfortunately, it seems to be, I think it's still, I have a feeling that the people who are kind of going through this now in their 20s, by the time they're in the positions where they're running everything, and a lot of people are in their 20s, but by the time they're in senior positions, hopefully that whole culture will have flipped on its head, because they went through it and like, no, this is mental. This is how it's done. It's much easier. And look, isn't it more effective as well? Jarrod, I want to let you go and enjoy some of that beautiful weather you got today. I'm worried.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
it's about 30 degrees already, or 32. So it's a nice. But we're in a state of emergency, so we have to stay inside.
This is true. I
can't even go to the beach. I can't go out and exercise.
All of a sudden, that one island seems pretty small, right?
No, it seems small.
I know England seemed real small over the last 12, 14 months when it was only my house. All the best for everything that's happening.
Thank you.
We're a couple of months ahead, hopefully in the swing of things. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I wish everyone best and stay safe. But most importantly, thank you so much for coming on the show, Jarrod. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank
you for the invite. Great having the chat. And of course, again, if you want to find me, LinkedIn is where I spend majority of my time. This is my second home. And, I'm always happy to talk about the platform, share information on sales, and just have a great conversation. So thanks again, Jay and the team. I really appreciate it.
Take it easy. Thanks very much, guys. See you later. Next episode of The Daily Show. Ooh.